Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavis. Thank you all so much for joining in for this special session. We are very blessed to have Ananga Manjari Prabhu with us. You can't believe, like, from 15 years of her age, she has been a devotee, so young that she joined. So she has so much of wealth of knowledge and wisdom about Krishna that she could share and guide us. So let us all happily welcome her to our reading session with loud Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, and your virtual
Hari Bol,
sites.
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Contact.
So we will say our Vaishnava pranams and then we can hear from Ananga Manjari Prabhu and do the book reading. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Pashyatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Ananga Manjari Prabhu, how would you like us to go, like read and you would share? Or...
How do you usually do it when you have a guest? It's your program, yeah. So,
we go by how you say us. Usually we share the book. And each of us takes turn in reading, and when you have something to comment on it or speak in between, you could just go ahead.
okay, so we can do that.
Sure. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share the book here.
Yes.
And Vaishnavis, whoever would like to read, please raise your golden hand. So we'll now, yeah, Janava Devi Dasi, yes, please. You could start off with the chapter 2, Vedic Culture, Varnashrama Dharma. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vedic Culture, Varnashrama Dharma. Mayapur, India, February 28, 1972. Bob, I have asked, we need two people, right? Mataji, do you want me to read both of them?
You could read Bob and maybe Swarna Gauri Mataji. Would you like to take up Srila Prabhupada, if it's okay?
Yes, Amma.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I have asked devotees about how they feel towards sex in their relations, and I see the way they feel, but I can't see myself acting the same way. See, I will be getting married at the end of the summer. I will be getting married at the end of the summer, in September or August, when I return to America. And the devotees say that the householders only have sex to conceive a child, and I cannot picture myself at all in such a position. What kind of sex life can a devotee lead, living in the material world?
The Vedic principle is that one should avoid sex life altogether. The whole Vedic principle is to get liberation from material bondage. There are different attachments for material enjoyment, of which sex life is the topmost. The Bhagavatam says that in this material world, man is attracted to woman, and woman is attracted to man. Punish Pumsastreya Mituni Bhavam Yetam. Not only in human society, the animal society also. The attachment is the basic principle of material life. So a woman is thinking for or seeking after the association of a man, and man is hankering for or seeking the association of a woman. All the fiction novels, dramas, cinemas, and even ordinary advertisements that you see simply depict the attachment between man and woman. Even in the tailor's shop, you will find in the window some woman and some man. So this attachment is already there.
Attachment between man and woman?
Yes. So if you want to get liberation from this material world, then that attachment should be reduced to nil. Otherwise, simply further attachment, you will have to take rebirth either as a human being or as a demigod or as an animal, as a serpent, as a bird, as a beast. You will have to take birth. So the basic principle of increasing attachment is not our business. Although it is the general tendency, Graha, Kshetra, Suta, homeland children. But if one can reduce and stop it, that is first class. Therefore, our Vedic system is to first of all train a boy as a brahmachari, no sex life. The Vedic principle is to reduce attachment, not to increase it. Therefore, the whole system is called Varnashrama Dharma. So, if anybody want to read, Amma,
I'll
Mataji, yeah. So if Radha Prem Prada Mataji, would you like to take up Srila Prabhupada? And Bhakti Mataji, would you like to take Bob? And go
I'll
ahead.
give some more time also,
Sure.
Mataji, if needed, because it's like Bob has no
Ananga
conversation.
Manjari, Ananga
Um,
Manjari probably has something to
I'd
say.
like to,
Yes.
because now Prabhupada is going to speak a little bit about Varnashram from here on. So I'd like to just address the first part that he's speaking about, how the idea of refraining from sex life, the purpose of saintly people minimizing or refraining from sex life is to become liberated from the material concept of life, the material concept of life, the material bondage that binds us here in this material world. So to understand that is number one important thing. You know, sex is such a strong drive for every living being, basically, because it's how we procreate. And there's always the biological, you can say, desire for living on, never dying. So it's kind of like a way of having sex and then having children from that is a way that the world goes on. So it's a very strong drive in every living being, even the plants are, you know, they're interacting with their seeds and pollen and, you know, like that. So I would like to say for human beings, you could see sex as the, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am sex according to religious principles. When it's done according to religious principles, Krishna says, I am that. So that's part of his universal form. So it's not necessarily bad. Like we like to, often we categorize good, bad. So you know, all sex is bad, and you know, I'd like to say that actually sex can be the ultimate sharing of two people who care about each other because they're giving body, emotions, mind, and, you know, like all of themselves to each other. So that's the ultimate share, or it can be the ultimate selfish ego. And more generally or not, it's the ultimate selfish ego that I have this urge, I have this itch, I need it taken care of. And by hook or crook, sometimes we don't care. And that's become more and more prominent in this day and age, Kali Yuga. And like that. So even in whether you're in the Western country or the Eastern countries, it really doesn't matter. That has become a big problem everywhere. That the problem is not necessarily sex itself. The problem is how we view it, as with everything. It's the concept that we have. The ultimate highest form of sex, we have examples in the Vedic literature, is the lingam of Shiva and and the yoni of Shakti, Shiva Shakti. So we have the yoni and the lingam, and they're meant to cooperate with each other for the ultimate creation of the universe to go on. That's what it's meant for, to procreate good progeny. That's not sinful. that is actually recommended in the Vedic literature and culture, and in the Shastra. So to understand it properly is the most important thing, because if you renounce it, just like there's the example of the fox and the grapes. So the fox is seeing these luscious grapes in front of him, and he goes, I want those grapes. I don't know if a fox really eats grapes, but story we've been traditionally hearing from childhood. So the fox jumps, and he's jumping, trying to get the grapes. They're too high. And then when he can't get them, he goes, oh, those grapes are rotten. They're no good. And this is what's happening in our culture today, in all cultures, Western, Eastern, and in ISKCON culture, has become, because young people are told this harsh words about family life, about man and woman, and getting together. So these are harsh words, and so we start thinking, oh well, then now we have to think that all women are evil, all women are Maya, all men are Maya, all men are evil, they're all just out to get you. And so then this is not Vaishnava philosophy. This is not how Krishna wanted it. Krishna created a man, and he created a woman, and he created the sex life, the combination for them, how they have children. He could have made up some other way how children can be born. He could have made up any way. In the Vedic culture, sometime, as we hear in Krishna, Vasudev put the seed of Krishna, into Devaki. He through the mind, just through thinking. So that's mystical. There was no need for mundane conception. We have this understanding even in the Christian religion. Mother Mary was conceived immaculately with no physical connection. So these things were possible. I don't think so anymore, but the whole point is the Yoni Shakti is sacred. And the lingam of Shiva is sacred. And if we see sex in a sacred way, then Krishna says that sex I am. So what does that mean? Not just the rule that only in marriage or only for children. That those are rules to help us, but what is the concept behind the rule? Is love, bhakti again. It's supposed to be sharing, not taking, but giving. So if a man has a mentality that I love this woman and I want to get close to her and very intimate with her because I love her for many other qualities that she has, and then we will procreate and have this another little beautiful child out of love. That's not unwanted progeny. That's no longer sinful or bad. That becomes beautiful. That's a beautiful concept. And the yoni is the receiver, but she chooses to receive. She chooses who she wants to receive. And this is something we need to teach our young people in this day and age. Because usually when people, if they do kind of try to tell their kids about sex life, they go, the man puts it in the woman. No, the woman receives it if she wants to, when she wants to, how she wants to. That's yoni, that's shakti. And then it's beautiful because she's receiving a gift. And he's offering his gift, he's offering his best, he's offering his blood. The semen is the blood that can create life, that is the seed of life. And then the woman, it's all needed for this world. Krishna wanted man and woman to cooperate with care and concern. And that's Vaishnavism.
Very beautifully explained, Mother. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
It's a hard topic in a way because we kind of shun it, but we
Yes.
see it in the right light so we can, because ultimately Vaishnavas treat each other with kindness and love and not selfishness. So that's where that's what the whole idea of getting liberated from the material concept of life is, to get rid of our harshness towards each other and bring on the love, bring on the bhakti and the care. Thank you.
Amazing.
That's what I wanted to mention for that part.
I was wondering if anybody had any specific questions to ask with this conversation. Please feel free. Yes, Sadhvi Prabhu, thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to our reading sessions.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you very, very much for allowing me to be part of the group here. My, I was born in a Muslim family, so the Muslim way of thinking is almost different than the way I have learned later on, and that's for a man to get married or for a man to be with a woman, you have to be married, and then the sex is okay. That I have learned, but in that marriage there is no any how to say restriction that you just do to certain age, but then afterwards nothing. This is the Muslim way, but I can understand that how to say the sex is mentioned in Veda. I understand it. I may misunderstood it totally, but in Vedas it's mentioned it as in Prabhupada's purport everything that only when you are going to make a child or to procreation, only then the sex is allowed, is okay. But after, if you're not going to do a child, then the sex is forbidden, right?
I would like to say in Shastra, these things are mentioned like that, and Prabhupada is talking like that here. But in his in his personal dealings with his devotees, if someone had problems, they would oftentimes, so many incidences, they would come to him or write to him and say, Prabhupada, I don't know what to do. I have the sex drive. I'm married, but I'm not supposed to have sex. And, and Prabhupada would say, you do your best. You try the whole, again, there's a principle, but then there's a human, I would say, like to say, a human
Limitation.
sincerity, a human sincerity that why are you trying to, again, reduce sex or not have it at all, only for children? These things are almost, I mean, it's a high goal and it's almost impossible. But the point is to give up the bodily concept of life. So if you're working on that sincerely and you're trying between a husband and a wife, then it's not forbidden. It's not a sin. It's not going to make you fall down or have it's just going to maybe deter your spiritual advancement a little bit because it's still
there's
within
something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry, but what I'm not getting it is I can understand that it may slow down your spiritual progress in your bhakti. I can understand that. But at the same time, what we are being created with certain, how to say, dharma in our life, with certain condition in our life, right? So if in the one side you have to live your bhakti according to your how to say, according to your condition, or according to your dharma, according to your nature.
Yes, very
The
much.
nature of a man and a woman is to love each other, is to have this intimacy, to marry and have this intimacy. But at the same time, the restriction, I don't get it. The restriction. You have that nature in you, but you have to fight that nature. But in another place, no, you have to fight that nature.
You have to purify the nature. It's not fight it. That's the whole problem. When we think fighting it, then we think I have to fight against the man or fight against the woman. And this is what causes more problem, because then you're more attached
What is the meaning? What does it mean to purify? Could you please explain for me? Thank you.
Purify, yes, thank you. This is wonderful questions you're asking and wonderful concepts how you're presenting it, because we have this human form of life. We have a nature. We're all in different modes of nature that we've come from, and we're trying to purify our existence by becoming transcendent and by following scripture. That's one way. That is one way, by following scripture as best you can. And that's what Prabhupada always said, do your best. He said, do your best. And just by trying, you will attain that position. And what is the position we're trying to attain? Not just that, it's not just, this is not the International Society for Renunciation and austerity and suffering. This is to get more absorbed in loving Krishna, making our purifying means using all of our energy to share the philosophy with each other, to share the kindness of the great saintly people with each other, the compassion that Prabhupada had with each other. So that's purifying. So again, I'll say, like sex can have, just like everything else, it can have two sides to it. It just like in the Nectar of Instruction, it says niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means I follow all the rules and regulations, but I have no understanding of the meaning of it. So what happens? I can follow. I won't have sex. I'll go live in the cave in the Himalayas. But then you become cruel to everyone because you're frustrated and in anxiety. And we've seen this in different areas of our life in our movement, where people become so frustrated that they become cruel, intimidating to others, putting everyone down, thinking I'm better because I'm more renounced. Like, this is the opposite of what you're supposed to learn from giving up sex life, or giving up the enjoyment of sex life, the enjoyment for the selfish enjoyment for myself. That's what we're trying to purify, because it can be enjoyable. It can be very physically enjoyable. That's just a psychological fact. But am I doing it so that I just become satisfied by myself, and not care about the other people or the other person or my husband or my wife? No, but we're caring for them. We want them to also enjoy and be happy with us. So I hope that's understood what I'm saying. It's to ultimately give up the selfish misconception that I am the enjoyer in this world. And sex is the ultimate enjoyment of the material energy considered. I don't always know why, but because there's so much complication all the time and people kill over it, and there's so many things. But the idea is to give up the idea that I am the enjoyer, and to understand that we are in this together. We want to be compassionate and kind to each other. And so some of that sexual love may be a part of that for a husband and wife. And that's not necessarily sinful, but if you get too absorbed in it, if you get too obsessed with it, which is very easy to get obsessed with, because it's so sensual, then you're losing some time that you could be having with Krishna, who's the cause, and he's the cause of that enjoyment. He's the controller of that enjoyment. He created that enjoyment. So he is the reservoir of all enjoyment and pleasure. So it's a better high. It's the bigger orgasm, if you want to say, if I don't know if I can say that on this platform. But loving Krishna is going to give you more joy and more. It's the other enjoyment is like the calf footprint of the calf. It's like the calf's footprint is this big, and that fills up with water. So that much enjoyment is the enjoyment of the material world, according to Shastra. And the enjoyment of the spiritual world is unlimited, where you're constantly feeling bliss and full knowledge and awareness and kindness and compassion and love. So that's the enjoyment of Krishna. So we're trying to purify our existence here to get to enjoy on that level of the holy name. Has it all inside it. The holy name has more enjoyment than anything. I'd like to tell a little story before we move on
Thank
to
you.
the rest of it. But there's a little story. So Prabhupada is speaking here harshly about, home, land, children, sex, man, woman, it's all kind of like avoid it. But yet, I was in LA and there was kirtan going on. Prabhupada was leading, and it was very wonderful, of course. And at the end of the kirtan, everyone bowed down. I was kind of in the back, a little bit middle back, and everyone was bowing down. And Prabhupada started Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, and he was very serious because this is a serious uh, moment to be offering your deepest heartfelt respect to the great acharyas before you. So Prabhupada, oh, Jai Om Vishnupad. So I put my head up because I wanted to kind of, being in the back, you can't see Prabhupada so well all the time. So I thought, this is my opportunity. I can look at Prabhupada. So I kind of stuck my head up from paying my basis, and I'm just watching him. And the little children, there was like maybe 10 little children kind of in front of him. And you know how little children are unabashed. They're standing right in front of Prabhupada's vyasa, and they're kind of, how they move this way and that way, and they're just watching Prabhupada, and he's going Jai Om Vish. And while he's saying this so seriously sounding, he's making faces at the children. He's making them laugh and giggle, and he's laughing and giggling. But I saw this like his face was like going like this with his eyes, like Hanuman, eyes, and raising his eyebrows and just laughing and smiling and going like this to them. And while he's sounding Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, and I'm like, how is this happening? Like, usually if I smile and I speak, you can almost, just by hearing, even if you don't see me, you can kind of tell a person's a little happy, silly. Prabhupada sounded so strict, but his face and his movements with the children, and they were laughing and like Prabhupada. So then at the end, when he goes, all glories to the assembled devotees, everyone Jai Jai, and then one of the little children went Prabhupada, and everyone, and it was so sweet. And then Prabhupada said, he knows me, in the microphone in front of everyone. Prabhupada just like, he knows me, it was so sweet interchange. So that's the love, that's the compassion that we show. So in scripture we say, it's harsh here, like there's the whole the forest of enjoyment in the Bhagavatam, the whole chapter of material grihasta life, and it's just considered this enjoyment, get away from it. But yet he was compassionate to the woman, compassionate to the children, and compassionate to his men disciples who had problems sometimes with controlling sex, and even in very irreligious ways. And he was still saying to them, do your best, do your best. He didn't discourage or tell people to leave. The only time, a few times, there was 2 or 3 times that I know of, that when he told someone, you're not my disciple anymore, the only times it wasn't because of their struggle with following anything. It was their philosophical thinking that they were better than him, that they knew more than him, and they were becoming like in Mayavad philosophy, or denouncing Krishna as a person, and like that philosophical points, he would be angry. But working your best and sometimes not making it so perfectly was not a cause for him to be angry or reject someone. Just wanted to say that.
So beautifully shared. Thank you so much, Ananga Manjari Prabhu.
Thank
Amazing
you very
question
much.
and awesome answer.
Yes, this is a perfect question, or understanding these things, and yeah, we're trying our best.
Radha Premprada Mataji, would you like to continue from the Indian system calls? Please.
Sure, Mataji.
Mataji,
I have one question. Sorry, can I?
Yeah, this topic could be a whole like seminar that can go on for weeks.
Actually, I want to read one verse from Bhagavatam. I read yesterday. I felt like it is very, relevant to this today's topic. It takes 1 minute. If you all allow me, I'll read it.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. My devotee, it's like 11 20 28. Krishna tells Uddhava, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction, even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment. My devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Uh, Jiva Goswami states carefully that Krishna does not mean to say that we can engage in sinful activities. The devotee's sincere desire to please Krishna is their Krishna consciousness. Okay, I think this is done. I'm going to the next one. It is like we just have to try our best and we have to continue praying to the Lord. And one day He will give us the strength to overcome all those things. I just wanted to share. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And the main point is that Krishna is telling Uddhava, you may not make it all the time. My devotees may not always be perfect. They may, make mistakes, but they're sincere. They sincerely try. And by gaining knowledge, they understand, why would I endeavor for something that's lower when I can have something better? So the knowledge is very important. The philosophy, hearing, chanting, reading with groups like this, very, very important. The essence, because by knowledge, we can rise above the desires gradually. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says a little in English. We used to write in English often. He said, cultivate the path of bhakti slowly and cultivate your spirit inwards. So it's a slow process, and cultivating the spirit means the sincerity with how we serve, not just that, oh, okay, I did this, I'm marking off, I follow this rule, that rule, this rule, I'm good. It's cultivating the spirit inwards, of purifying our intention. And that we do with by knowledge, association, seeing others who are doing it, and we get inspired. And just like your verse that you read said, there's no condemnation. You just keep trying. I used to tell my kids, try your best and you'll be blessed.
Jai.
So
Jai. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Radha Prem Pradha Mataji, please continue.
Hare Krishna Mataji, before I start, I just have something to share and also a question to ask from Her Grace Anand Banjari Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for openly discussing, first of all, this topic, because this is it's a little sensitive topic and we don't get to hear much about it openly. We don't even talk about it, but actually this is also a very good platform in this Vaishnavi group. We are getting to hear from you so openly and we can also talk about it. So, as shared about this concept of, closeness between two opposite genders. So, I had this one question that, we are all mothers and we have kids, and today's youth, not our kids, but they are also influenced by the youth outside, and there's this different concept is there nowadays. I mean, it's been there before, but I'm coming from an older generation, so I'm like kind of a jiggling between that older and the newer one, where the new generation, before marriage, they when they are trying to get to know the person, um, and sometimes it falls apart, not necessarily that they are going to be getting married, but then they have started this cycle again. But then in that process, if they are, they and some people, they get into a relationship where they're also living together, and our kids also see those, and we fear that it might influence them as well, or their thinking as well. So how would you, what is your advice on, as mothers, how should we take it? And also whether to accept this concept as, okay, it's right, or, I mean, it's scary to think even if it's right, because what we hear from Shastras and what we have lived, it's like not. But this is a common thing nowadays, in today's time.
yes. I thank you. This maybe we should just continue talking about this I don't know, it's up to you.
Sure, Anangamanjari Prabhu. Yes, we could do
Because
that.
this is a lot of very important points that we don't usually talk about, and I think it's so essence. Okay, so first of all, Even Arjuna was worried that if all these men are killed, the woman will be left unprotected. And why are they prone to degradation? Why are women, first of all, why are women prone to degradation? Not because they are degraded, but because degraded men will take advantage, and they're more physically powerful, and they will hurt the woman and bring them down, drag them down. And women are, as Prabhupada always said, kind-hearted, more kind-hearted in a way. So they might think, well, this guy is going to protect me, but then he drags her down. So this is hurting, having this disregard for women and children in ISKCON, in our movement, which has been very strong for many years. And it may be changing a little bit now, but it's still there. That whole concept is hurting the whole movement. It's hurting the progression of Krishna consciousness spreading throughout the world. But now, to get more to your point, so even Arjuna was worried, and Prabhupada considered, when he's worried, that's because of his compassionate nature as a devotee. He says it right there in the purport. It's not that he was totally on the bodily concept. Krishna was just elevating him on to a higher thing, like, just do what I want you to do right now. And as a Kshatriya, you need to do that. So anyway, that's a whole other topic. But anyway, our youth, and trying to balance our values that are valuable, that we value relationships of love, and we value the sacred combination of marriage. We value these things because they're good for human beings to have some restriction, some some kind of sense of morality, you can say. And now the world has gone to immorality is like common. It's like common. So when my I'll bring up, I have a few points here. When my son was little, we lived in LA for a little while, and I was walking to go to my apartment, and him and a few friends, kid friends, they were about 7, 8, 9, whatever. And they were laughing and giggling, and I saw they had like a magazine with them or something. I didn't know, couldn't see too well, but I saw that. So I just said, "Oh, Vish, time to come in for, lunch," or whatever it was. So I just called like that. I didn't want to startle them and go, "What are you guys doing? What are you doing?" So they were giggling, and I could tell something weird was going on. So then he came home, and I pretended, I mean, I didn't pretend. I was like making myself busy with my back to him and saying, "So how did your day go?" And I started telling him about my day. And then that opened him up to want to talk about his day. Like I said, "Oh, today I did this and this person said this to me, and haha, whatever." And I said, "How'd your day go?" And he goes, "Mommy, you know what my friends said?" And he started telling me, like, what they were going to talk about. And he goes, "Never mind, I can't tell you." So then I just said, sometimes I said, "I see that you guys were giggling and you had a magazine." I said, "I just want you to know that, how we say every human being has to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. That's the nature of of life, of everyone, is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, the animals, the humans." And I said, "So how, like, we eat only prasadam, we eat food that's offered to God, we eat food that's blessed with a prayer and offered in love to Krishna first. We but And I said, we don't eat garbage off the street, right?" And he goes, "No, no." I said, "So sex is like that. Sex, when you're married and you love someone and you want to share your life with them and share your responsibilities with them and share your compassion and care for them when they're sick or whatever, in any condition, they say in marriage, right, for better or worse. You know you I said, then that's sex, that is holy, that's good, that's fine when you feel like you love someone and you respect the woman and respect the man, then that's good." I said, but looking at, magazines with naked pictures in it, I said, that's like eating garbage in the street. That's sex like eating garbage in the street. And that's just not like healthy for you, because then you get the wrong concept. Because a woman, and I told him, if you like a girl, you need to respect her and not like be kissing her in public and stuff, because then other men will think, oh, she's easy, I can also kiss her and whatever. So you have to be careful about these things, and you respect her, and you wait till she wants to be, embraced or hold hands or something like that. I said, but you have to, anyway. So like that, I tried to explain. So just like we don't eat garbage in the street, we don't watch pornography or do other things like that that is unhealthy, or just force someone, either even coerce. Sometimes they say, well, it was mutual, but did the man or the leader coerce that person? Then that's also wrong. And that's where you get pastoral abuse, because someone who's in a position thinks he has the power to, um, you know, use anyone in any way he wants. And so there's different degrees of that. So anyway, how do we, as trying to be good devotees and understanding the philosophy, listening to your children, developing a rapport with them, so that you can, if you listen to them and what their concerns are and their worries, and then you reflect that back. There's there's these books that even devotees have tried to give seminars on in the past. I don't know, probably now too, I'm sure there's many, of how to listen so children will talk. Because if you don't listen, they're not going to talk. If you're always telling them what they should do, how they could do better, how they did this nice, but they could do it better. I made that mistake. I made that mistake, and my relationship with one of my daughters was a little strained later on as she got older, because she always felt I was going to correct her, or even if she did something amazing, I'm like, they're going, yeah, and if you did this, it would even be better. Like, that was my problem. That was my ego trying to get involved. So listening to the children and reflecting, oh, that was a hard day today, or you worked diligently on that. I'm impressed, and then leave it at that. Um, we've got to be careful how not to be preachy as preachers. We're all preachers, but I like to say sharing. So if you listen to them and they feel like they can come to you with almost any situation, then you can say, sometimes now I tell them, like now when I speak with them, they're all adults, and I'll try to talk to them like I'm talking to a friend, and I'll say, well, my thought on this is that blah blah blah, not that you should. So how we phrase things is very important. We can let a child know, our children know, when they're doing something that we don't approve of. We can tell them, I don't approve. And why I don't approve is because it's going to hurt you in the long run. You drink, or you take drugs, or you do this, or you do that. It's going to hurt you in the long run. It's not healthy for you. And tell the girls, your yoni is sacred. You don't just throw your yoni in the street for anyone, to do what they like with it. You're in control of it. You have the Shakti. You have the decision making of what you want to do with your body and your life. And so speaking with them in those ways and empowering them. We want to empower our children, not push them down with more rules and like we're disgusted with them, or we're always never satisfied enough with them. So we want to build them up and empower them. And what is empowering a woman? Someone asked me that the other day. They say, you talk about empowering a woman, but that sounds like, when a man hears that, they go, oh my God, now the women just want to be, fighting and strong and better than the man. No, empowering a woman means to realize your worth as a mother, as a potential mother, as a woman who's able to give birth and create life. That's huge. I just heard this thing from a psychologist that in the ancient times, women were revered highly because the men didn't know that they had a part in putting a seed in a woman to give the to make a child. They just saw this woman, and all of a sudden her stomach grows, and within several months she even bleeding, but she's not hurt. And she's, I mean, it's hurtful. I mean, it's painful, but it's not like anything. She's not dying. She's bleeding, but she's not dying. And then she gives, all of a sudden this another human being is born. Like they were like, wow, how is this happening? Because they didn't know that they had a part in it. This is what the psychologist said. I don't know how true it is, but it's good to hear for psychological reasons. So because they didn't know they had a part in it, they revered the woman. Oh, you're the giver of life. You're the creator of life. And when they kind of found out and figured out through the years that, oh, I'm the one that put the seed in, then they started controlling and putting women down instead of protecting them and respecting them. It's like, I'm the one now, I'm the better, I am better. So the whole concept of thinking that someone is better and someone is worse, that's the biggest sinful aparad that anyone can make. As soon as you think you're better than anyone, because everyone's better at something. and everyone's got a gift from Krishna. And our point is to how to use that gift. And that is Varnashram. That's the next chapter that maybe we can do next week.
Yes.
Because that's the real Varnashram is you have a gift from Krishna and use that. So you want to find the gifts that your children have from Krishna. If they're good at music, or they're good at science, or they're good at math, or they're good at sports, or whatever it is, and you say, Krishna gave you this gift. Let me support you to carry what you like to do, to carry it to the highest degree where you can be happy and peaceful and caring for others, and not just egoistical, because that's the opposite. Selfishness is the opposite of bhakti. False ego is selfishness. So I hope that helps to listen to the children, even when they're young. Listen to what they say, empathize with them, and don't be too preachy. And then they'll start opening up to you, and then they'll want to hear what you have to say. One trick I used to do, and I don't know how I thought of this, but one trick I used to do is I'd say to my girls, especially because they love shopping, right? So they do anything to go buy a new whatever, So I'd say, how about if I take you shopping today? And they go, yeah, yeah. So we'd be in the car, and I would again talk about my own life. I'd say, I have a problem with a friend. Can you help me? What would you do? Like I'm asking their advice about something. And they would be a little surprised, and they go, Mama, I would do this and this. And, oh, that's good advice. I'll use that advice when next time I talk to my friend, because our relationship got a little strained. Sometimes I'd even make something up, but, well, I shouldn't say this in public because then they'll think, oh, she what? They are, but anyway, so it's like, I'd make up a scenario or bring up an old scenario and just like try to get their advice about something. Then they're willing to talk. Then you ask, so what's happening in your life? Do you have any friends that you have a problem with? Or is there anything going, and then they'll start talking, and then you listen and zip it. And of course, you can always let a child know if they're doing something that's dangerous for them or not healthy for them, that you don't approve because it's hurting them. I had to do that with my son often. You're with young teenagers, they doing crazy things, and I'd say, I don't approve because this is going to hurt you, and we didn't. Yeah, anyway, so like that. So you listen and try to help. Is that helpful, Radha?
It is very helpful. Thank you so much for so many tips. I do apply some of these. I have two daughters. So,
Ah,
the older one grew up and I really struggled hard, but yes, I adapted myself and changed
yeah,
myself to
yeah.
come to her page. But the younger one is born here, so she's a little different.
Mhm.
And so, with the younger one, yes, I have, learned these things
Yeah,
wherein, you have to hear them, appreciate them, and
yeah,
give value to them. I have one follow-up question on again on that if we have time and we can
yeah.
go. So nowadays, I mean, I'm just saying nowadays, but yeah, it's there. So kids, while choosing a partner, they become physically intimate. They want to do that. So I from your answers, I got to know, I got some kind of answers to this question, but I still want to hear from you again on this part, as to how to see this, and how to guide them, to look at this part, because this they do this in order to get, of course, married to that person, but then sometimes they don't get married also,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I do believe that in this day and age, as you're saying, I was brought up very old fashioned as well. And my parents were Catholic and they were religious, but they weren't fanatical. They were spiritual and they were moral, very moral. They didn't have bad habits. They're pretty cool people. But anyway, I was brought up with that understanding, old fashioned kind of way. And as a devotee, there was a family, an Indian family one time that the daughter was maybe 16 or something like that. And she had relationships with a guy and she thought that she was going to marry him, like you're saying. And then she got pregnant. Um, and he kind of wanted to be part of the family, but the parents were upset because he wasn't Indian and blah, blah, blah. So they made them separate and they were flipping out completely, condemning him, condemning the daughter, making it very hard for the daughter as well. And it wasn't a good situation. So later on, some of the other devotees, they said, "Oh, well, we want to help her, so we're gonna have like a we're going to have what do they call it, a party for the like a shower, baby shower." And I understood that the reason was to give her a lot of things so she'd get gifts to be able to have this, take care of this baby. And my daughters were younger, but I was like a little conflicted. Like, how can you celebrate this when there's going to be so much difficulty around it? Like, so I decided that I would celebrate having another Vaishnav come into the community, a new baby, and that we need to take care of the mother and give her things and help her. But it's not exactly a celebration like, let's have a silly party. Like you would, sometimes they, play games, and it's not like a celebration because this is going to be a difficult situation. And then I tried to talk to the parents that you got to open up. You've got to be kind to your daughter. And finally they were, and they helped her. But the child had to grow up without a father, blah, blah, blah. And that's, I don't know if he would have been a good father or not. They were both so young. But anyway, these situations like this, I think we have to become a little more open-minded is my point, to accept that these things go on. And so as they do now with young people, like sometimes they have birth control at an early age for young girls, and they'll just give them without the parents' consent at the age of, I don't know what ages they do that, but pretty young. So it's like complicating the situation. I played a game with a bunch of my girls and their friends. They were about 14 at the time. And I had a spin wheel. I made a spin wheel, where you can spin something and you have different pieces of the pie. So I saw a chart that said, if you have sex once, you probably won't get pregnant. So maybe this much, you're not going to get pregnant, nothing will happen. And then part of the pie was like, well, you might get a venereal disease, or you might get emotionally caught up. That's a big part, emotionally. And then when they leave, or the man leaves, the boy leaves, or the girl leaves, or whatever, then there's so much emotional trauma, which is actual trauma that can last a lifetime if it's serious. And then there's less trauma. And then so the pies were all like cut. And then there's the part where you could get pregnant this much, whatever it was. The percentages I took from a book. And so I made the chart like that, made it all colorful and exciting. And then we all sat down, the young girls were there. And I said, okay, so here's a scenario, and I'm going to try to make this shorter, but you're in school, the cutest boy likes you, he starts talking to you, he wants to take you out on a date and go get pizza and go to a movie, and it's all some kinds innocent and like, and then after some time he goes, well, if you love me, you'll have sex with me. Because that was always like the line, right? If you love me, then you'll have sex. So the girl feels, well, I want to love him, I want to stay with him, I want to marry him, and so then they have sex. So who wants to go spin the wheel? This is you. So one girl spins the wheel. Nothing happened. Oh, this is great. So every weekend you guys get together and you have sex and you do a bunch of fun stuff. And again, spin the wheel. Nothing happens the next time. Spin the wheel. Nothing happens the next time. Spin the wheel. Venereal disease. So now you're stuck with a disease that came from someone that you have to live with the rest of your life, whether you stay with them or not. Right? Or even worse, then spin the wheel. Pregnant. One girl spinned it, and the first time she gets pregnant. So I was creating a scenario where they actually emotionally are involved in what could happen. And so then the pregnant, okay, so then I went on. I said, okay, so now this guy doesn't want anything to do with you or the baby. He's gone. He went off to the next cutest girl in the classroom. And you're stuck with this pregnancy. So now you have the baby, but then later on, and you're living in the town, whatever, and you're working 2 jobs and you're trying to finish school and you're, struggling with a newborn and your parents don't want to help much, or maybe they help a little or whatever. And I created this scenario. And then I said, now, after a year or two, he wants to come back into the child's life. So legally, he says, I'm the father. He goes to court. Legally, he gets some time, right, with the child. So now this is 3-4 years later, or whatever. And every week or month or whatever it is, you have to let your child go over there. And he married a girl who's not very kind and nice and hates your child. So she causes so much problem and your child comes back crying every time. But you're legally bound that you have to stay in the same city and or state, and you have to send your child every so often to this horrible situation. So their eyes were all like, oh my God, like, I don't want that in my life. So then be careful. BC, be careful. I always told my daughter, be careful, be careful. So now we just go BC. We made it like a little joke, be careful, be careful. So that's on them to be careful. And now they're becoming young adults, or they are adults, and they need to be careful in, the best ways they can, because those are the scenarios and those are the what do you call it, percentages of what could happen. So anyway, knowledge, again, knowledge. By knowing, then you want to refrain from things that are going to be unhealthy for your life. Anyway, I hope that
Thank you
helps.
so much. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. One last question from Shama Mohini.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Wonderful explanation.
One
Hare
last question.
One last question from Shama Mohini Prabhu, if she's around.
I have a question for this administration of Nicola. Dear Nanga, how are you? It's always wonderful to hear from you. And we'll be hearing more from her in coming programs. And so
I really hear if you
I'm sorry, I'm out. Yeah. But what I'm saying, if this program goes for 4 hours, then I will reach my destination.
let's
But
do
anyway, huh?
let's do a seminar called sex. That'll get everyone going.
No, I was just listening to you just because I just had a awareness program, and to your point, just it does help talking to third persons, because many times our children do not listen to our advice, not because the advice is wrong, but because we are their parents and they may take our guidance for granted, so to speak, right? Sometimes hearing the same message from a trusted mentor or respected devotee or another caring adult can have a great impact. I know I personally experienced that when my children, if you remember, when young, they would not hear from me. But all I have to do is, okay, go to Ananga Mama and you will talk to them very nicely so they still remember. So I'm thankful for that. So asking others to help guide our children can encourage them also to reflect more deeply on the advice they receive. And as you said, that during a awareness program that I had on Sunday, I shared that many young girls grow up dreaming of Prince Charming, and sometimes they are easily persuaded by flattering words, and however a person's character is revealed by their actions. And one important question to ask is, and correct me if probably I'm so dreamy, but does he show genuine respect towards to his own parents, but also to her parents, and genuine respect? Does he give her the space to express herself, or does he dominate conversations? Does he speak negatively about her parents in an attempt to gain her loyalty or kind of isolate her from them? Because sometimes, if he tries to distance a young woman from her family by criticizing her parents or encouraging her to distrust them, this should be recognized as a warning sign. So, isolation is common tactic to unhealthy and abusive relationships. And that, to your point, well, if you love me, you will come with me. You will leave your parents. They chastise you too much. They're toxic. Now that's a favorite word of the in common word of today. They're toxic. Well, they don't understand actually they are getting into a toxic relationship. So this is why open communication
Very good.
with families is so important. So when parents create an environment of trust, children are less likely to live dual lives or hide important parts of their relationships. So instead, they feel safe coming to their parents for guidance. So I just want to thank you for speaking up, and because every aspect is important. And I said, I have personally, and known you for 30 years, I've seen how you have advised not only my daughters, but other kids. And we definitely have to be more vocal, because this is going to help all the questions that were here starts with open communication and proper guidance. So thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Love you.
And just to add to what you're saying, which is so important, is if we understand some psychology, we can present it in a way to share it with our children, that this is what psychologists say. It's not just what I say. And like she said, finding other people who can mentor your children, and mainly keeping a friendship with them when they're older. Prabhupada said that. He said when they're when they're really young, you let them just play openly, and then and you protect them, of course, and then when they're middle age, they start learning things, so you share and teach them and guide them. But even in that, you make it fun. My son was interviewed one time, and they said, well, what kept you so always involved in Krishna consciousness, even though, even through your early years and teenage years, and even now as an adult? And he said, my mom made it fun for me. And then they interviewed me, and I didn't know they had interviewed him, so I didn't know what he had said. And they said to me, what's the magic that you have kids that are kind of still interested in Krishna consciousness and doing things? And I said, well, I try to make it fun for them, because Prabhupada said austerity, when he said, when to the school teachers in the beginning, that we have to make it fun for them. The teachers have to make it feel fun for them to learn, to follow certain principles. Austerity is not fun, but we make it fun. We make it. That's our creative, our creative way, that we make it seem like fun. So, then if you make your kids happy, my motto is, if you make your kids happy when they're little, they'll make you happy when they're big. And then he said, as they become young teenagers, you befriend them. So you treat them like a friend. Would you go up to a friend and say, how dare you do that? Even if they did something stupid. No, you go, hey, hon, you did this, and this is going to hurt this other person, or going to hurt you. And, why'd you do it? And let's talk about it. And I'm here for you, to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to to love you and give you care. Yeah. And sometimes I'll need guidance from you. So I now my kids are adults and I learn so much from them. I've become a better person because of them. I've become more real and more and healthier because of them. So yeah. So giving them credit. Anyway, that's yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inspiring that. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Devki Preeti wants to say final words. Yes, Devki.
Thank you so much. I am so happy that I got to hear from you today, and you just gave us so much guidance and wisdom, and especially talking about this topic, which is a sensitive topic, and helping us understand the essence of what we should understand from scripture. Because I know sometimes you hear things about women and it can be kind of like hard to swallow and you don't really understand. So I feel like you've given us a lot of deeper understanding on women's roles and how women, the importance of women being empowered, the importance of why they should be protected, and also like in parenting, like how we can find that balance between like being able to give them that foundation and but also letting them know like how we can help them be able to trust us and know that like we're always there for them and we want the best for them. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful. We got to hear
You,
from you,
you
Nandamanji.
smile, smiling and be happy. Pro, it's a chant and be happy. So being happy is half the, you know, the benefits. Chant and be happy. So thank you. And if you all want, I can actually, with the help of Shama Mohini, I can, and Hemanga Gopi, we can form a little seminar about these topics even more and delve into it even more for the children, for families, for women, for you know, how to deal with all these things, if you
Sure,
like.
Prabhu. We will surely get in touch with you. This is much needed for our healthy society to grow.
Yes, yes, exactly. Thank you. It's to help spread Prabhupada's mission in a healthy way. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Can I just interrupt quickly? I'm sorry, I'm just driving. But yes, they're actually you know, from the project Teranga, we have some courses that will be coming up. So my request is for all the Vaishnavis to please keep an eye on the Vaishnav Ministry North America Facebook page. All the information from upcoming seminars will be placed there. And if you have any requests, it will be actually very nice if you can comment. You know, we would like to know, or we would like to learn or hear or discuss about XYZ topics. So that will also help us give priorities to such programs.
Jai. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you again. With the time just flew, but it
Yes.
was very deep discussions.
Thank you.
So we will
Thank you
end
very
with
much for today, Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Bye.
patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavi Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and Ananga Manjari Prabhu ki jai, jai, jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Krishna.
Hare